It's the Wednesday evening edition of Weather for Weather Geeks. Look who's here. It's Andrew.
Hey.
We did not have a dual Weather Geeks last Wednesday.
No.
I was out golfing.
Yeah.
Perks of the job.
Exactly.
But we are back with our Wednesday tag team. Did you have your windows open last night and this morning?
Yeah, I think so. Cracked a little bit.
Yeah, because it was awfully comfortable out there. We reached
very nice.
51 at the airport this morning. Record low for the States in the mid-40s, so it wasn't a record or anything, but very, very nice. And really, really nice compared to what's coming our way over the next several days. So that was how we started the day. Then this afternoon warmed up to 83 locally, 90 New Philly and Zanesville, 85 Pittsburgh, 84 in Cleveland. So overall, pretty typical July day today.
Yeah, really comfortable.
Our average high is still at 82, I think.
Yeah.
We're still at that high water mark, if you will, and then we started actually dipping a little bit with average highs before too much longer, just a degree at a time. Though.
Yeah,
it's not
one step at a time.
Yeah, winter's not coming soon. This evening we have quiet weather locally. It's a beautiful, beautiful summer evening. I went home for dinner real quick after the 6, and not a cloud in the sky.
No.
Visibility is great. You can see forever. Really nice locally. In the meantime, it is pretty active with some monsoonal moisture out here in the west. Some showers and storms. Four Corners region. Threat for severe weather up in North Dakota. And your usual summertime hit-or-miss afternoon storms down in the southeast. Now let's talk about the stuff that's really no fun. If you live out here, a slew of excessive heat warnings and heat advisories out in the middle of the country. We were remarking earlier about some of these heat index values, just insane. Now, not unusual necessarily for them, but this is what they're dealing with this evening. It feels like 110 in Omaha and Sioux City, 105 in Des Moines. Now, we were also talking earlier about this thing called evapotranspiration, which is basically corn kind of sweats and releases moisture into the air. And that actually adds to not only the dew points, but the heat index values where there's a lot of corn.
Yeah.
Iowa, Nebraska, places like that.
Tribe was playing out in Kansas City. I bet those folks were sweating on the stands, the folks that were left.
Oh, yeah, exactly. The Indians rolled out to, an 11-0 lead or something?
4 something of the sort. But
and with heat index values that look like this, the stadium was pretty empty by the end of the game, that's for sure. All right, as far as the dew points go, again, look at all the juice out in the Midwest, but dew points here today actually dipped into the mid-40s this afternoon. Very comfortable. We're up to 50 as we record this a little before 8 o'clock. The juice isn't far to the west. I mean, 71 in Cincinnati, the dew point, 75 in Indianapolis. So it's coming. It's going to take a little bit of time, though. I still think that tomorrow is not that bad. Let's skip past tomorrow and talk about Friday, because this is when the dew points do come up. And the heat index is going to be largely dependent on where and when any storms form. If we get storms midday afternoon, we might not get this hot. If the storms are first thing in the morning, the rest of the day is dry, we could see heat index values that look like this. It's not Iowa, but it is pretty hot. We could be dealing with heat index values between 95 and 99 degrees. Generally, where we live, the National Weather Service will issue a heat advisory if the heat index is expected to be above 100, I think is our criteria. Fred from the Pittsburgh Weather Service actually sent an email about that this morning. I think it's 100 is their criteria here locally. So that's the heat index for Friday. When we start talking about the weekend, though, here's a look at our computer models. As you can see, they're all over the place a little bit with the heat index, but there's definitely a downward trend on Saturday, interestingly enough, because Saturday might actually be hotter than Friday. Yeah. But the heat index might be lower because it won't be as humid.
Exactly.
We were talking...
Very good news.
We were talking earlier today, this front that might produce a couple of thunderstorms Friday actually looks a little bit stronger than it did and actually has a little bit of a drier punch of air coming behind it. It's not exactly going to be super refreshing, but the dew points can get knocked back from 70 to maybe 60 on Saturday, and that will, reduce the heat index value. So I think Friday will be perceived as the hottest day, even though the mercury might actually be higher Saturday, Sunday. So I've got our fronts here, any precip, and of course the dew points in the green shades here. Here comes the moisture. Not yet tomorrow. Dew points are still pretty tolerable, I think, tomorrow. And then we're into the greens and the kind of aqua shade here, and it's soupy on Friday. The RPM model here, now, this may be right, it may not be, blast some thunderstorms through before dawn on Friday, and then they're gone for the rest of the day. Not sure if that's the right idea.
Which, compared to the rest of the models from what we've seen, the general idea is early morning, but not that early.
Yeah, exactly. And still even a chance maybe into the afternoon, even though they might be more concentrated first thing in the morning, there's still at least some chance of something popping up in the afternoon, according to the other model.
Exactly.
RPM model, not so much.
Way ahead of the game.
we'll see what ultimately ends up being the right idea. Bottom line is there's a chance of thunderstorms on Friday at some point during the day. Then here's the weekend. Our weak front slips off to the south, and we should start to get into some of this drier air filtering in, especially in the afternoon on Saturday. Dew points should mix down to maybe 60 or even upper 50s, which will definitely be more comfortable than 70.
Yeah.
All right, as far as the storm aspect of things on Friday, Storm Prediction Center does have us in the low risk of severe weather. Anything would be probably isolated as far as severe weather. Now, could there be strong storms? Yeah, it's possible. But not too much in the way of severe weather on Friday. Let's skip out of here and talk about the rest of the weekend then. If you have outdoor plans this weekend, Saturday is your dry day. Sunday is probably a dry day to start. Some of the modeling is trying to bring in maybe a shower or thunderstorm towards the end of the day. This is actually a warm front. This is the moisture returning after giving us a little bit of a break for the weekend. Maybe we get a thunderstorm towards the end of the day Sunday. Better chance Sunday night into Monday as our cold front comes through. This is the front that kind of puts an end to the heat wave.
Yeah.
It's probably still fairly muggy for a while on Monday, but then behind it, middle of next week, we're not going to be breaking out the parkas.
No.
But it will be a little more just typical July weather.
Yeah.
Back to textbook stuff, not this 90 degree with dew points of 70 kind of stuff. So, and largely dry next week. We need rain.
Yeah.
We've been lamenting now for a while. New drought monitor comes out tomorrow. It's a Thursday, so we'll see.
That'll be interesting.
We had some rain earlier in the week that hopefully put a dent in it a little bit, but it was pretty localized. That's probably not going to do much region-wide as far as changing the game. Last week we got put in the moderate drought officially for a lot of the area. We'll see if that moderate drought expands with the new drought monitor tomorrow. Not much rain coming next week. As far as the longer range goes, here's a look at the... that's not what I wanted to save off. Well, hey, here's a look at the first, few days of September. That's not what I meant to grab. Well, anyway, the climate model showing normal weather in early September. Maybe just in time for the Canfield Fair.
Exactly.
What I wanted to...
You can only hope that we have average weather for the Canfield
Wouldn't
Fair.
that be nice? Instead of weather like this weekend. We should just have the fair this weekend. It's going to be typical fair weather. Anyway, what I meant to save off here was that in the longer range, some of the modeling is bringing down some fairly cool air at the end of July. By July standards, cool, meaning maybe 70s. Some of the modeling, not all of it. So we'll see if we do get some injections of more comfortable air as we close out the very end of July. It's not coming in the next 6-7 days, but maybe kind of in the 7 to 10 day outlook. So we shall see about that. Now, when is WFMJ Weekend Today on the air this weekend?
This weekend we are on from 6 until 7 on Saturday, and then 8 until 8:30 on Sunday. And then 8 to 8:30, that's the second hour on Saturday. Sunday, the first hour is not on. The second hour is 9 until 10:30. So we will have Andrew's answers.
All right.
So we will have that. A very interesting question. Someone wanted to know, sent an email about where are the quietest weather cities? Or like the cities that don't see much change in weather, and why are those cities calm?
And I think she mentioned she knows about San Diego, so we can't answer with that one. But San Diego is one of those cities that is remarkably consistent year-round.
A lot in the Bay Area, a lot along the coast, and an interesting answer as to why that affects them.
Yeah, so be sure and check out Andrew's answers on WFMJ Weekend Today this weekend. Your schedule's all over the place.
All around. Grab a pen and paper.
With all the summer programming on weekends. It's kind of tough to follow along, but check out Andrew's forecast this weekend, and I'll see you back here for Weather Geeks tomorrow evening.